Let's take a look at some of the awesome new manga coming out in February of 2023. Stay tuned. Welcome to the February 2023 Manga Buyer's Guide. This time I am on time and not a month behind like I was for January. Anyway, we've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about this month, a lot of new romance titles and a lot of new BL and GL, so if you are a fan of BL or GL manga, stay tuned because there's going to be a lot that you might be interested in. As always, I want to point out a few things before we get started. Number one, we're talking about notable new manga, not just any new volumes of manga. These videos are not meant to be pointing out the newest volume of like popular shonen title that everyone already knows is coming out. I'm trying to help introduce people to new things that they might otherwise miss. There are so many new releases every single month that it's very easy to let some of these things just fly under your radar, even if it's something that you could possibly love. So I'm here to give descriptions of new series, new single volume releases, final volumes, box sets, special editions, all that kind of stuff, so that you don't miss anything that you might wind up loving. The next thing I want to point out is release dates. I'm giving the official release dates for every one of these books, but things as typical do come out early. There are things that I'm going to mention that have been available for a week or two already, and things do come out late. So both of those are the norm. I'm just warning you because I've had people in the past who are like, I bought that 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I did as well, but I'm giving you the official street date for these things. And finally, if you are on Twitter, please follow me at OmniCollector. And if you wind up getting anything that I mentioned in this video because you saw me mention it here, you wouldn't have bought it otherwise, when you get the book, tag me, tag the publisher, and let them know that you got it because you saw it in my video. It does go a long way, and it does help to kind of let them know that I'm doing some work to get the word out about their books. And as always, thanks to these types of things, I do have some new books from Yen Press to talk about a little bit later in the video. With those things said though, let's go ahead and jump on in and talk about some new releases from the 7th of February, the first week of new releases. Now right off the bat we have Faded Away Volume 1, or The Moment You Faded Away Volume 1 from Rocket Ship. This is, I guess, a new publisher, or I don't know, I've never heard of Rocket Ship before, but this is a romance webtoon about childhood friends who reunited in high school years after one had mysteriously disappeared. Next up, we have the box set for Wotakoi Love is Hard for Otaku. This has all 6 volumes of the popular office romance series in a special box that includes an exclusive sticky notepad. So that's the special item that you get with this one. I know that right now this should be available on Right Stuff, but last I checked, it's still not up. But it has gone on sale elsewhere, so I know this was delayed several times. It's no longer being delayed. There are copies out there. It does exist. Next, from Viz Media's Shonen Jump line is Shouha Shoten. Most notably is the fact that this has artwork by Takeshi Obata, the artist of Death Note, Platinum End, and Bakuman. It's a series about a couple of students who want to get into they want to make it big as a comedy duo, doing stand-up and sketch comedy and stuff like that. So they're trying to go out and win competitions and whatnot, and there's, you know, their families might not really be agreeing with them going out and doing this type of stuff. So this is the story of them and their journey towards succeeding as a comedy duo. But if you're a fan of the artist Takeshi Obata, then you'll definitely want to pick this one up regardless. And we also have another new Shoujo Beat title this month, My Special One. This one is a romantic comedy series about a girl who is sworn off of beautiful boys, but one day, by chance, she meets a J-pop star, and he decides that he wants to try and win her over. Then we have from Viz Originals, The Girl That Can't Get a Girlfriend. This one is an autobiographical manga about the creator's quest to find the perfect girlfriend. Mieri had never dated anyone before, but when she finds Ash, she has found her first love, but also her first heartbreak. And after, they break up, she decides that she will stop at nothing to try and win Ash back. I believe this is a single volume release from the Viz Originals line. And one more for the first week comes from Saturday AM, Clock Striker. If you're unfamiliar with Saturday AM, I've never talked about any of their releases in these videos, but this one popped up when I was taking notes, so I figured I'd talk about it. They do manga-inspired stories from creators from across the globe. So this one follows Cast, who dreams of becoming a smith. And the Smiths were legendary warriors that traveled the world to make it safer for everyone until they all disappeared. While the Smiths were not known for having female members, Cast fortunately finds a surviving Smith named Philomena Clock, who takes her on as an apprentice or as a striker. So that's all for the first week. Moving to the second week, we start off with a special edition of the Sailor Moon Naoko Takeuchi Collection Volume 1 that comes with an exclusive Q Posket figure. I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, Q Posket, of classic Sailor Moon. So this is the first volume that was released previously. Now it's just coming packaged in a nice little box that comes with a little figure in it for a list price of $40. Next up, we have Confessions of a Shy Baker Volume 1 from Tokyo Pop. There's going to be a lot of Tokyo Pop BL releases throughout this video, and this is just the first. This is the first volume of a BL romance about Toshimitsu, a real estate agent who loves to bake, and Genta, a caregiver who loves to eat. The two have stressful daily lives due to their jobs, but at their home cafe, they can relax and spend time together. Next up is Just Friends. This is a GL from Tokyo Pop. Erica was forced by her mom to go to an overnight camp, but while she hesitated, she did wind up meeting Emmy, with whom she formed a special bond. Now, later in their 30s, Erica and Emmy reminisce about that summer that they had spent together. Then we've got one from J Novel Club, which I don't think I've ever covered J Novel Club releases here before because usually they just do light novels. But this time they have Seirei Gensoki, Spirit Chronicles. This is a light novel adaptation about a 7-year-old orphan in a street gang who begins to have memories of his past life. One day, the gang pushes him out of their hideout because they are having this celebration for some hall that they just recently had. The boy winds up outside the hideout seeing some nobles who are looking for a young girl, and he comes to find that the hall that the gang was celebrating is in fact that same young girl. So now he gets mixed up in something where he has to protect both himself and try to protect the life of this young girl. Next up from Seven Seas, we have a classic shoujo title getting re-released in collector's editions, and that is Marmalade Boy. This is about Miki, whose parents have decided to swap spouses with another couple. So on top of having 2 new step-parents, she also has an attractive new stepbrother. Now, while her stepbrother is cute, he's also kind of a jerk, and so Miki has to grapple with her feelings for him, as well as dealing with this new family that she has. This was originally 8 volumes for Marmalade Boy, but I believe the collector's edition is 5, maybe 4, maybe 5. I'm not 100% sure how many it will be. 4 or 5 volumes, let's go with that. Next up from Seven Seas, Gap Papa, Daddy at Work and at Home. I find the title of this one rather amusing, but it is a wholesome series. It's a full-color slice-of-life manga about a man who's very cool and distant at work when he's at the office, but once he returns home, his demeanor completely changes. He's very warm. He is a great doting husband and loving father to his kid. This is a wholesome family romantic comedy, so if you need more wholesome stuff in your life, this is going to be the release for you this month. Next up, we have a new release from Sublime. So if you're unfamiliar with Sublime, it is a BL manga called Megumi and Tsugumi. Now, this is apparently an Omegaverse thing. I had no familiarity with what Omegaverse meant before this, so I apologize if I speak wrong on anything. Basically, a tough guy may have met his match when he meets a school alpha. The tough guy is an Omega, and the alpha is like the high class, rich boy or whatever. And then one more from Kodansha this week is Break of Dawn. It's a single volume sci-fi drama about a boy who's obsessed with a returning comet, but along with his friends and a robotic pet, they find something not of this world that holds a secret. Moving to the third week, the releases for the 21st, we start up with more stuff from Tokyo Pop. First Tokyo Pop release is going to be The Snake Who Loved a Sparrow. This is a BL fantasy about a humanoid sparrow who is saved from a boar by a humanoid white snake. After this, the two of them grow closer as friends and possibly more. Then we've got Scram Blues. This one's a BL about a graphic designer who meets a musical prodigy after being hired to design his CD jacket. And then one more Tokyo Pop BL right now is going to be The Flower That Seems to Truly Dance. This is a BL set in the 40s about Shotaro, who's looking for his childhood friend Hiromi, so that he can apologize for telling him that he hated the way he danced whenever they were younger. Now Hiromi is a renowned dancer, and it seems like he's trying to avoid seeing Shotaro. Then from Viz's signature line, we have a single volume josei release with mermaid scales in the town of Sand. This is about a young girl named Tokiko who moves in with her grandmother in a coastal town after her parents have separated. Her life starts to look up when a local boy wants to be friends, but then things start to get strange when she starts having memories of things such as being saved by a merman. Next up, we have some stuff from Yen Press. The first one is The Wolf Never Sleeps, Volume 3. This is the final volume of this fantasy light novel adaptation, so if you want a quick fantasy read, this is going to be a good one for you to look at. Then we've got the ones that they sent me. First up, Volume 1 of Sotus. This is a BL manga. Sotus, S-A-O-T-U-S, stands for Seniority, Order, Tradition, Unity, and Spirit. Basically, the upperclassmen at this school haze the lowerclassmen, the freshmen and stuff like that, and it's about a new incoming freshman who's really not about the hazing. He just isn't taking it, and so the upperclassmen, the one in charge at least, is kind of upset by the way that he's reacting to the hazing. And they wind up, butting heads, and there's, at least, I've read the first 2 chapters, and it seems like there's already kind of a tension between the two that could turn one way or the other. It doesn't have, at least in the first volume, I don't believe it has any spicy scenes, let's call it, because it is rated older teen and just for language, but I will say it does have some spicy language, some very suggestive language, at least in the first couple chapters. Now, that's not to say that this will eventually turn into something with spice, if that's what you are looking for in particular, but just in this volume, don't expect that to happen. Next up, we have The Princess of Convenient Plot Devices. This one features a young girl who is reborn as a character in I believe a novel series that she's a fan of, where it's a princess who's kind of a side character in the story of her brother, the prince, and his boyfriend. I don't know if they get married or not, and the fact that because of the fact that he's gay, he's not going to be able to have a child to take up the throne after him. And so in the original story, the sister winds up saying, like, I'll offer my child to you so you can have an heir to your throne. But then in this one, in where the girl is living the story, the brother is immediately kind of hostile towards her and is like, you know nothing of love, and she gets upset and she's like, well, I'm gonna go find a romantic partner myself, and then so she goes off and kind of begins her journey to find a partner. Next up from Yen Press is School Live Letters. I'm not familiar with the original School Live series, so I cannot comment accurately on that, but this is a spin-off. After the apocalypse, the former members of the school living club have moved on along different paths and send letters to stay connected. And then I get to one more Yen Press that they sent me, and that is Assorted Entanglements. This is a GL romantic comedy series about a office worker who winds up inadvertently having a one-night stand with a girl who works at a local izakaya, and that turns from a one-night stand into a long-term relationship when she finds out that the girl is living in an abusive situation at home, and she tells her to come and live with her instead. I read the first few chapters and it was very enjoyable, so I do plan to read the rest of this first volume very soon. Next up, we get one from Kodansha, The Great Cleric Volume 1. This is a fantasy isekai about a man who's reincarnated into a new world and decides to recreate himself as a healer. As a former salaryman, he knows how to make money, but he knows nothing about this new world and hopes that his good heart and work ethic will help him to become a cleric. Then also from Kodansha is Sweet Poolside. This is an older single-volume Shuzo Oshimi manga. So if you're familiar with Oshimi from other stuff like Flowers of Evil or Blood on the Tracks, this is one of his older single-volume releases about 2 students in the swim club with opposite problems. One has no hair while the other has too much hair, and they are trying to help each other out with those issues. I do plan, after getting and reading this book, to try and put together a creator guide about Shuzo Oshimi. It's been a while since I've done a guide to a creator's works and gone over someone's entire bibliography, but I figured that now would be the perfect time since we have almost all of Oshimi's work in English, and as far as I can think of at the top of my head, there's nothing else coming soon that has already been announced. And finally, in the third week, we get Chojin X from the Viz Signature line. This is from Sui Ishida, the creator of Tokyo Ghoul. It is a horror comedy about two friends who are attacked by a Chojin, turning one of the two into a Chojin himself. However, this transformation proves to make life difficult as he has to hide it from his family and deal with the odd incidents that are happening around town. I've not yet read this one. Since the first chapter came out, I was like, this is going to come out physically. I'll just wait for the physical release. So I'm looking forward to trying this one out for the first time. And finally, in the last week of February, we get a really big release from the Viz Signature line, the final volume of Urusei Yatsura from Rumiko Takahashi. This is the final 2-in-1 volume of her classic romantic comedy series. If you're a fan of any of Takahashi's other works, like Ranma 1/2 in particular, but also Inuyasha, Meisama Koku, stuff like that, then definitely check out Urusei Yatsura. Or maybe you've been enjoying the new anime adaptation from David Productions recently. Check out the manga. It's great, classic, romantic comedy stuff, and all 17 2-in-1 volumes are going to be available as of the end of this month. I can't wait. I was thinking that in their recent announcements they would have had a new Takahashi work announced to be getting re-released in these like nice 2-in-1 collections, maybe One Pound Gospel, but it didn't happen. Maybe in the future. Next up, The Invisible Man and His Soon-to-Be Wife from Seven Seas. This follows Tonome, who is an invisible man and the owner of a detective agency, and he's a talented detective, but he finds that his skills won't work on Yako, who is blind and can tell where he is. Tonome is determined to get Yako to date him using whatever skills he can. Then we get one from Kuma. Kuma is another BL publisher, so this is a BL series called A Home Far Away. It's set in 1990, and Alain is lost and cannot find his direction at home or at church, but he soon meets a cook named Hayden, who he can relate with and can lean on. And finally, for this month, we have the Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro Box Set 1. This has been delayed from previous months, but this will contain the first 6 volumes of this shonen rom-com series with a bonus item. I haven't yet seen what the bonus item is, but it does include something extra, as is typical with these box sets. So that's it for the month of February. A lot of cool stuff that's coming out, a lot of things that I'm picking up, and like I said earlier in the video, a lot for fans of BL manga, a lot. So let me know in the comments what you're picking up this month, whether I talked about it in this video or if it's something that I haven't mentioned in this video. I'm curious to hear what everyone is picking up. Thank you so much for spending the time with me and watching this video. If you're not yet subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you're notified whenever I put out new content. And with that, I will see you all on the next one. Peace out.